buttons, pushing the buttons.
All right, it's setting up and we are good to go.
We are good to go. Welcome everybody to Soul and Social. Kicking us off today is multi-Juno award winning Russ Wilson. Boom.
Hey, how is everybody out there? It's summer celebration. This song's called Release Thee. Until love is released from this pain deep within, forever young, and we're not the only ones, oh no. It may not be on us, and it sure won't be on them. Said we're having problems, separating present from the past, and we won't go home until we're home. And the river's gonna run till the sun is going to shine, till we done all this work. And now you want a peace of mind? I don't think so. It rained and it died, and the lightning lit the sky, so it shook our souls. And I looked up, I said, Lord, don't you take us tonight. And the river's gonna run till the sun is going to shine, till we've done all this work and now you want a piece of ours. Woo! I don't think so. Show 'em, boys. Who can fly? Oh, oh, oh. Who can fly? Oh, and the choir screams out of plain all across the land, and the women, they screamed out, give us back our land. Ain't nowhere we're gonna go, 'cause we're from South Ontario. And the river's gonna run, and the sun is going to shine, till we've done all this motherfucking work and you want a peace of mind. Well, we won't go. Hell no, no. Hell no, no. Hell no, no. Woo! I think you better ride on out of here the same way you rode in. Gonna run, and the sun is going to show.
Yes.
That was so awesome. Yeah.
Here we are again.
Here we are. Okay, so today's a lot of fun. I have my guest co-host with me, Jessica Dugas. She was on episode back. Hello, girl. We've got Chris Burns here, America's motivational speech jam guy. Oh my gosh, this show is fired up. And Russ Wilson. Oh, on fire. We're on fire. We've not had this much masculine energy on the show, I don't think. This far.
What are we going to do about that, Tarah?
No, Jess.
It's fun. It's fun, right? It's good to have the mix of the masculine and feminine going on, and good music and good friendships. And what gets better than that? Nothing.
And it's summer.
It's summer. And this is the season finale of the show, so we wanted to have it super high vibe and
Celebration.
I mean, I gotta have my buddy Russ on. Like, we haven't seen each other in a while. We have a problem there.
I'd like to interrupt, and I'd like to say thank you to you for having me. It's always a pleasure, and let's have some fun.
Let's do it. So Necessary is out, and you've been rocking it, the new album.
I have been working it very, very hard. I've been making videos for it, and we're continuing on to play it out there live and entertain all the people we can while we can.
Amazing.
How many places do you think you're playing at over the summer?
Well, we've been working Ontario and Quebec pretty good for the last 6 months, so we're ready to expand and wander off. We're probably going to be heading west. No, we actually are going to be heading west probably in the next month or so. And then after we go west, we're looking at going to Europe for a little while.
Heck
That's
yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Love
Amazing.
Europe,
Awesome.
especially Holland. Just saying. Sorry, just saying.
So can we have another song off the album to keep this energy up? Because I know I want one. You guys want one? I do.
Okay.
Bring
I'm
it.
going to
Heart
play.
snaps, firecrackers.
I'm going to play you the title track. I actually I have this beautiful instrument here. It's a 1965 baritone guitar, and I bought it off of this fella, and then I come home and I wrote Release Thee, the song that I just played for you, and I wrote 2 other songs with this instrument that ended up on the new record. And So Necessary is one of those songs. So I'm going to play So Necessary for you. So Necessary. Oh, devil's gonna come steal your soul. Yes, yeah. Stand strong, Tarah. You gotta stand strong. When the devil comes knocking, don't you let him in, no. Tarah, don't you let him in, no. It's your time, demon, and she won't stop screaming, and she won't stop telling you what. Oh, 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 oh. Hold on, son, won't take long. Lord's gonna come, bring us all home. Slap in the face, that old school shit. Take that smirk off your face, pop your brain like a bear. Truth sometimes hurts, Tarah, but it's so necessary. Hell yeah. Oh, oh. Tell it's all necessary. Oh, oh. Hold on, son, won't take long. Lord's gonna come, bring us all home. Slap in the face, that old school shit. Take that smirk off your face, pop your brain like a berry. The truth sometimes hurts, but it's so unnecessary. Oh, and unnecessary. Oh, oh. But bam. There's another one for you, Tarah.
I
Boom
heard how you
shakalaka.
putting Tarah in there a couple times. I was like,
Right?
she's got her song now.
So that's another one of the songs that this beautiful instrument, it just flowed out of it. I had nothing to do with it. The instrument.
Awesome, beautiful. I love looking at guitars like that. My uncle has a whole bunch of guitars hanging on his wall. He's been playing long time, and so every time I go to his house, I just love looking at all the instruments are beautiful. And that guitar, I'm sure I tagged him in this video, so I was like, you need to come see this guitar because I know I love it. I know I love it.
Awesome. Talk him out of one or two.
I was muted, hey?
Back now. You're back now.
Thanks, Russ. Thank you.
So the sound is, everything's going good there or what?
Yeah.
It was all good till Tarah muted herself.
Everybody watching, give us some hearts if the music's good. Some flames, some hearts.
Yeah, light the fire.
Yeah.
So it's summer. Do you get holidays this summer, Tarah?
I don't, well, we'll see. I don't know. Mom's on the go. I don't know. Do we ever have holidays?
Busy.
Yeah, we'll see. So Russ, do you still have your studio? I know last time we spoke, you had your studio where you help up and coming artists get out there. Do you still got that shaking on, or is that kind of a?
The Mix Master is thriving. I've been here 4 years now, and it is absolutely just a wonderful music place for the arts. We take photos, videos, we do everything here, and it's really getting busy there. And I'm really feeling blessed to be able to help artists, right? So we're good here at Mixmaster. Things are good. Life is good. We are blessed here.
I love it. It's awesome. Chris, do you have a guitar, Chris? Like with all your flames and stuff, like I feel like you got like some drums hiding there. But
I played guitar for a year when I was like 13 years old. You know, I really loved it, but I just at that point I wasn't willing to dedicate the time and like keep doing it. So I ended up selling it. But I
Chris Burns.
But I love EDM. I love like mixing and stuff. I've just messed around with like mixing different sounds, and that would be something that I would want to, let's say, hire a coach or professional artist, DJ, something like that, to come and teach me. That way I can learn the fastest. I'm sure, Russ, you have that experience, like all the wisdom, everything that you've seen in the industry. Like people love to have you come in and teach them so that they can shorten their learning curve.
You know something? It's certainly nothing I planned, Chris, but I have been, again, very blessed to have worked with some of the best producers in the world.
That's amazing.
And I followed them around, and I told them right from the beginning when they hired me that I'm going to be on your back because I'm here to suck up everything you got to give me. So I did that indeed. I've worked with some great people, and I've gathered up a little experience, and I'm hoping to pass it on. So anybody who needs some production, come to Mixmaster, we'll hook you up.
I love it.
Yeah.
How do they find you, Russ? How do they get hold?
Well, you know something, Hamilton is a very lot of musicians here, and we stick together, and it is through some fellow musicians of mine, like Daniel Lanois, he actually wasn't from Hamilton, he was from Ancaster, but he opened Grand Avenue Studio here in Hamilton, which is a world-renowned studio. Before he opened Grand Avenue, him and his brother Bob, he was recording with Rick James down in his basement in Ancaster, Ontario.
Wow.
Daniel asked me to work on a movie soundtrack with him, and the movie turned out to be an Academy Award-winning movie. And I went down to California, and I, got to hang out with Billy Bob Thornton and some other great people, Dwight Yoakam, and away I went. I've also Malcolm Byrne produced all the Junk House records. So I've got to work with Malcolm too, who is an absolute, he's somebody I love and admire immensely. He produced Human Wheels and Iggy Pop and Mark Cohen, and been involved in a lot of Steve Earle records and Emmylou Harris and the Neville Brothers and all of those guys. So again, it's certainly nothing I could have planned, but I definitely feel blessed, and also feel obligated to pass that on.
Definitely.
I feel obligated to pass that on. So just letting everybody know I'm giving it away.
Great job, Russ.
Yeah.
Well, I absolutely love it. And I'm so excited. This is such great energy. We've got America's like high vibe guy here. We've got the tunes on. Jess is amazing. Russ, I want to get on to introducing Chris onto the show and talk a little bit about his $12 American podcast. But can you play us another one, please?
Do you want it now, or do you want it after Chris?
How about give us one now and then?
Go.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Okay. This is the third song that I wrote with my uke here. Actually, that the uke used me to write. This song is called Hard to Handle. You're leaving. I don't understand. Yesterday was so perfect. How today it ain't working. Home side, something so where you're tearing it down. Too hard to say you're okay. Next day, you're playing around. Too hard to handle. You're too hard to handle. And I love you. Oh, we can't go on like this. All those things that you say you can take them away. The heart's everywhere. Stay up there, deep down inside. You know you're alive. Don't wanna fight, can't over, you're breaking it down. Too hard to handle when you're okay. Next day, you're playing around. Too hard to handle. You're too down. You're too hard. You're too hard. You're too hard. The hand down. The hand down. Ooh. 3 don't wanna fight her. I don't, I don't, I don't wanna fight, no. Bam.
Bam.
Great job, man.
Bam.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome, Russ. What I'd love to ask you if there's a theme for this record that you have out, and what sort of, if there's an overall inspiration behind the album.
The inspiration is behind the album is I had been 4 years before my last release. that was the real inspiration. But the real inspiration is I think as an artist we have to file our stuff or we go crazy. And filing means, for me, filing is making records. And if I don't get that out, I go crazy. So that was my main mission. And another thing I was that was imperative was that I had all my friends come and play on it and be a part of it as well.
That's so much fun. So much fun when you can kind of bring in everybody together that has influenced your life in some kind of way. That's beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. It's a big party here at Mixmaster. When you're in town, stop in.
I will do that because we'll be back up. We'll be back up that way eventually, and I'm gonna come that
old man of yours who doesn't know who the Guess Who is.
we had to school him just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I actually was with Randy Bachman probably about a month ago.
Yeah, I'm coming up there and we're gonna be friends, and that's just is what it is, Russ.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
She'll be stuck to you like glue.
That's it.
Thank you so much. And of course, stick around, Russ. I'm going to introduce Chris here officially. Chris is the flames guy, right? He's like, go flame, bam. He is the host of Becoming Your Greatest Self, our greatest possible self, a weekly 12-hour live stream marathon and podcast. Over the last 2 years, Chris has conducted more than 500 interviews of inspirational role models, influencers, and leaders. For more information about the podcast, go to www.gps.com. We'll put the links below. But Chris helps people start and grow their own shows online or podcasts and encourages them to step into their greatest possible self to achieve higher levels of personal and professional performance. He does this by focusing on your purpose, presence, and your platform. He also runs mastermind groups. Since hitting rock bottom at an early age and bouncing up stronger than ever, he has spoken on stages across the US and has been interviewed on Successful Profiles Radio. He's also the Chief Growth Officer with Burn It Up Coaching, the personal development company behind the marathon and the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. I was introduced to Chris through Jessica, and since my co-host Renee can't be here today, it seems so fitting to have her here because we could all jam.
The whole family's back together. Got the band back together, right?
We got the band back together. I love it. I love it. So
and thank you for having me here, Tarah. Thank you, Jessica, for being just you. Like I just love your presence every time I see you. One in the audience, like just I love GPS. You're like love the movement.
I try not to squirrel you too much.
Oh, I love it. I'm just like yes, just like die hard, And then coming on and sharing your journey and your experience and all the people's lives that you're touching, Jessica. I just totally freaking acknowledge you about all these shows that you're getting getting started. I see you kind of as that like mothering energy, bringing people's dreams and visions into the world. And Tarah, just totally, just to be witness of you and your growth and your impact and sharing your message, and the phase of life that you're in this season is like totally about expansion and impacting even more people. So I just love it. Love being a part of it.
Well, we're excited. Jess and I were having some conversations about this show last night.
Both of your ears should have been burning because
Yeah,
we're having fun. We're having fun. That's Tarah and I. So when we get together, and so we thought this is going to be such a good energy on the show today.
Yes.
So you're okay. I just want to talk about your 12-hour marathon podcast, because when I heard you did this, I was like, this dude does what? I'm like, wait a second here. What? I'm like, this.
She said that to me. She was like, 12 hours? Like, is that a typo?
And I'm like, he seriously does this for 12 hours?
Man, it's like, it really started about 2.5 years ago as a way to promote a webinar. So I think today we all have our gifts. We all have our abilities and ways that we can serve the world. And I was really seeking of how am I supposed to serve the world? And I wanted to take the pressure and the focus off myself and say, who do I know who has great stuff around them and great services, great products to deliver? And so I went to a previous business coach of mine, created a joint venture agreement. And then we were promoting all week long. 2 days before the webinar, we said, we want way more registrations. What can we do to get people there? And we said, let's do a live stream, like 4 hours. No, it's too short. 8 hours. No, it's probably been done before. What about 12 hours straight? And we said, we're freaking doing it, me and my business partner. So we did it, the very first 12-hour marathon, not knowing if it was even possible. I didn't know if, I'd get in Facebook jail or something for doing something that, going too long or using up too much data. I didn't know. But we found out that Facebook allows you to do 3 up to, and who knows if you can do beyond, but 4-hour parts, 3 4-hour parts. So we did it. And then a couple days later, I'm like, man, this was awesome. We got to keep doing this. This is a movement. People are tuning in, like thousands of people tuned into that very first 12-hour marathon, just cheering us on, being a part of it, like commenting and just being a part of that energy and what's possible when you put your mind to something. And since then, we've done about a 12-hour marathon every single week. We just did our 104th 12-hour marathon yesterday. We've interviewed probably around like 570 leaders, role models, experts, people who are changing the world, visionaries. And it's all to help our audience become their greatest possible self, because I know what it's like to feel lost, stuck, hopeless, that rock bottom moment. And all I need is just hope. All I need is to take the next step. All I need is to know that no matter how much I screw up or how lost I am or how lacking clarity I am, I can just take the next step, and I can work on myself and become a better version and serve the world. And that really solves all the problems, when you're out there serving people. And of course, there's finesse to it. You get to love yourself and have your own boundaries and values that you're making sure you're fulfilling. I believe in a well-balanced life in that aspect, having, all dimensions of life fulfilled. But yeah, so we're out to teach any area of life, really: business, health, wealth, relationships, spirituality. We have all kinds of people on to educate our audience how to become their greatest possible self.
It's awesome. I want you to just kind of give us like a 30-second demonstration of your gratitude portion of the show. I was like, when I was like, this guy's serious. I love it.
Yeah.
You're just so in your energy, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like I've really found, just a side note, I've found that speaking things on the 12-hour marathon with a live audience amplifies them. So I really have activated this principle for me personally of when I get out of my own way and I stop being afraid of sharing what I desire, what's important to me. Like before I ever met my girlfriend Petya, I was talking about her on the 12-hour marathon, saying, she's my dream woman. Like, we're going to Italy. We're sitting on the edge of the cliff at a table. We're having dinner, romantic dinner by candlelight. She has this long flowing white dress. And it's just painting these pictures, these beautiful, vivid stories. And for me, it's getting connected with that emotionally is what makes it come alive. And it's what makes it come to me faster. I create that reality faster. And I align with who do I have to be to show up like that. So I just really started being unleashed and unapologetic in my self-expression on the 12-hour marathon. And one of the things I love to do is at the end of some 12-hour marathons, I just like practice gratitude. I'll just like close my eyes and like if anyone wants to join me and just like step into this energy of gratitude. It doesn't have to be a special occasion, doesn't have to, be long and complicated, but you can just like really embody it. And so I say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, it's so powerful when you repeat words. It's so powerful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this platform that we have. Thank you for this show that Tarah has created. Thank you for Russ. Thank you for Jessica. Thank you for Tarah. All this beautiful energy that is impacting people's lives, traveling all around the world. There's no person we can't touch with this message, with this energy, with this upliftment, with this supercharged power. Having each person know that they're special, that they matter, and that they deserve to dive into their soul, to get connected with their soul, to get aligned with their soul. And thank you for this moment. It's all there is. And so that's an example of like, just like diving in, right? Like just go into it. Yes.
Every time I feel like that's why I come back to the marathon every single time because like I can listen. I feel like I'm at the Church of Chris. Like, I'm just completely, and I feel good about myself, and I feel good about my, what I've accomplished, and I feel good about the people that I've, brought to this to watch as well with me. Like I dragged Tarah there. I'm like, you got to come watch this. I've been watching for like a year. Come hang out with me. And she's like, I'm gonna sit there for 12 hours, and she totally did most of the day. So
it was on all day. I'm like, well, what happens in 12 hours? Okay, I gotta find out.
Right? It's intriguing, right? Like you're like, how could someone possibly sit on there for 12 hours? And then you're like, well, I'm about to find out. So.
I love it.
I did. And the day that I was on the show, it was a little bit more intense than the first one, just listening to it, but it was still awesome.
Yeah, like I think that's something that a lot of people really get over about themselves, so to speak, is like making it scary to share your message, making it scary to share your heart. Because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to come from like being super introverted. My best friend had to ask out my very first girlfriend for me. Picked up the phone and called her for me because I didn't have the courage to do it. I said, I'm not doing that. Like I was afraid. I was so afraid of what she thought. I was afraid of communication. I was afraid to get up in front of the room. My face would turn beet red whenever I would get up in front for a presentation, even into college, like I was like afraid of what people thought and their judgments. And I just like bought this story. I really adapted and adopted this story that I'm shy, that I'm this skinny white boy who, like the world, I acted all tough, like macho and stuff, but deep down inside, like I wasn't willing to admit, which is what like really gave it power. I wasn't willing to admit that I was really afraid. And that I was really, afraid of what people thought. I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of what if my friends leave me? What if, what would I do if I didn't have my parents, and like I outcast God, outcast love, outcast everything, just saying, I don't need anything. I'm better than all that. And so I really, in my opinion, didn't treat my friends very well because they were always there for me and, good people around me. But I didn't value it. I didn't value those things. And so it really took me going through a season of partying and wasting my life away. I wouldn't say wasting because I wouldn't change it for the world. Every single aspect, every single moment, partying, drinking, just like totally numbing. I was numbing all of my pain and I didn't know how to express what I was feeling. But I hit that rock bottom because I didn't have any lower to go in terms of my personal standards and what my parents had taught me, like how they raised me to be a good human being. I was just totally being ungrateful. My character was not good. I was not being a good human being. I was not treating other people well. I wasn't being ethical. I wasn't in integrity with me and my highest truth and love. Like I was disconnected. And so I hit that rock bottom and it wound me up in a really dark, scary place. And I ended up having to call my mom from jail and my family and tell them like, hey, like I screwed up. And just hearing her and my family be there, my dad and my sister were with her as well. And just hearing them say like, hey, we're going to get through this. You know, like we got this. There's nothing that's going to stop us and our family and our love. And, you know, we're not going to kick you out of the family for messing up. Like, we still love you. And so for me, it was like, what? You still love me? Like, after all this, after I show up like a jerk and just totally am ungrateful, unappreciative, you're gonna still like want to have me a part of your family and, you know, like work with me, be on my team, so to speak, to get through this time. And it was just mind blowing, like short circuited something in my brain that said, this is how life is, right? Like I'm all on my own. I have it all under control, and I'm God. I'm Superman. Nothing can stop me. Like, that was the paradigm that was running my life. And when this rock bottom happened, and luckily the charges were dropped, the case was dismissed, nothing ever went on my record, but like, I got my wake up call. And that was that moment where I said, I'm never going to wind up in this place again. And so I started working on myself, doing tons of personal development, going to seminars, investing tens of thousands of dollars, even when I had no idea how I was going to come up with the money and how I was going to invest. And it was scary. It was freaking intense, right? To make those decisions and like bet on myself. Like, I was really afraid to bet on myself. I was afraid if I could follow through, but I just did. And I kept showing up, and that's what brings me here today.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I know Russ had to go, but it would be interesting to know, like, you know, the different generation now of like, you know, because he's been doing music for so many years and getting up on stage and what that's like versus, you know, what it's like now. It's a different, you know, this way, it's a bit different. But yeah, that I just, your story is so interesting to me. And I love how you took, you know, the things that you did in your life and now you've turned it into something positive, and you really do share that message out to so many people. I'm serious, the show's cool. I was like,
yeah. And that's what I think I also want to equip people with is, no matter what happened, what facts, what incidents, what circumstances, you determine how they shape you. Right? Like, I had an opportunity to rewrite my story in terms of, well, I hit this rock bottom. Did I stay there? Did I let that become who I am and how I see myself, like a troublemaker, someone who's like, you know, not a good person for the rest of my life? No, I said, that's not who I am. I'm going to speak a new story into reality. I'm going to write a new story and show that this is how I changed my life. This is how I changed my actions, my behaviors, how I showed up, so that I can make this planet better than when I found it, because that is not who I am. And so everyone has the opportunity to do that. And this might sound like really radical and extreme and far off for some people. Maybe some people are just struggling with relationships, struggling to find the love of their life, struggling with finances, struggling with growing their business, struggling with living their purpose, trying to be happy. You know, they're struggling with different things, health and wellness. Whatever it is for you, that's your story. And wherever you're at right now is a result of the story that you've been living. So if you are not where you want to be in life, you get to change your story and start sharing about how you're a different person. You used to be, let's say if health is a challenge, you used to be not on point, not in integrity with optimal health. And now you're making better choices every day. You used to be lost and just watching Netflix and not living your purpose. And now you show up and you do the work. You practice gratitude. You have a coach. You hired a coach. You go to Toastmasters. You watch live videos. You listen to podcasts. You're freaking putting in the work. Okay. So I just want to empower everyone to start with changing that story right now. Whatever challenge or obstacle that you've been faced with, start telling a new story. Say that was the past from this moment, right? Because this moment is a fresh, brand new, clean slate moment that you get to create whatever you want with. So are you creating wisely? Are you being responsible with your fucking power, pardon my French, to create your reality? Because it's super, super powerful.
It's so good. And I think when I was on your show, that was one thing that I had shared. It was the first time I really said that out loud, because we have, you know, the breakthrough show and people come on and share about their breakthrough moments. And I really believe that everyone is presented with moments that can be breakthroughs, but the actual breakthrough doesn't matter unless you do something with it. You have to make that choice to allow it to change your life. And I think that aspect of choice that you're speaking about is so important to touch on, because we're all given those opportunities. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to allow it to change you, or are we just going to keep floating along? And ultimately, I think it's hard for some of us that are in sort of this, we just want to see, you know, a better world. We want to see people happy. It's hard for us to sit back and accept that why wouldn't someone choose to change their life? Why wouldn't someone choose to go down that road? And we have to sit back and remember that it is ultimately their choice. And if they choose not to change their life, then that's their choice too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I found that if people haven't experienced enough pain, sometimes that's what it takes. You know, that's why I really love the 12-hour marathon and sharing people's stories, because you can put yourself in their situation and say, oh, snap, like this was their path. And I'm at like right before they go off the waterfall into, you know, the point of no return and rock bottom. Like I'm going down the river towards the waterfall of destruction, of, you know, difficulty and, you know, sabotage, whatever that is. And life is attempting to teach me this lesson. Am I listening? Am I present to it? Am I aware? Because I don't know if we talked about this before, but it's like life wants to teach you the lessons. Life wants you to be happy. Like the universe, God, source, creator, whatever, wants you to be happy, wants you to be living in your purpose, wants you to be full of joy and abundance and like all of it, right? And if you're more committed to being comfortable, if you're more committed to your story, if you're more committed to your identity, and, you know, like I have aspects of me that still to this day show up as a victim, and I hate it. You know, it's like I hate that I play and pretend like I am not greater than whatever circumstance that I'm dealing with. So no matter where people are at, I think that we like to say, hey, I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a victor. I'm a champion. But I also think that there's elements and aspects of our life that maybe we haven't confronted yet. We haven't healed. We haven't resolved. So no matter where people are at, you can choose to say, hey, how can I embody? That's a real powerful frame of mind. How can I embody this lesson that I already learned? You know, I learned that when you focus on gratitude and more than enough and appreciating, all your money challenges are gone. Okay, well, am I doing that? No. You know, okay, so then you're not embodying it, right? Oh, I learned that when you eat greens and vegetables, like basically all your health challenges are gone. You have an alkalized body and you have great wellness. Okay, am I doing that? No, then you're not embodying the wisdom that you've learned. And life is going to attempt to keep teaching you with like stronger and stronger nudges and winks and lessons and awarenesses till you make that choice. But I think it's fascinating how we all have the choice.
Yeah. You know, Chris, one of the things that you mentioned was pain. And I wanted to talk about this for a second here. I had the opportunity to see Oprah recently, just like last week. And one of the things that she discussed was in all the people that she's interviewed over the years, the one common thing that she found was everybody's experienced pain, and that their pain was the same, and it didn't matter what country they lived in and this, that. And so it kind of triggered for me to bring this up because you've interviewed so many people. So is that something that you've found as a common thing in your interviews as well, that we all, you know, you just talked about we all experience that pain, but it really be that driving force?
Yeah. It's so that's true. And I want to say, like, a higher level, teach a higher lesson here. It's contrast, right? Like contrast is the great guidance system of this universe. So wherever people are at, you're experiencing some kind of contrast right now. Maybe you're, like I said, your relationships aren't where you want them to be, your business, your finances, your health and wellness. That's contrast. It's an indicator. And what the problem is that most people have is they judge that a certain result isn't where they want it to be. And they judge that and they make it feed whatever story that they've been living out from their wounded child, right? Their wounded child that says, I'm not enough. The wounded child that says, I don't deserve love. The wounded child that says, nobody wants me around, or whatever, right? So they're living out those stories, and we're constantly collecting evidence because our brains love to be right. We're constantly collecting evidence for why we're right to justify our story and to justify why we're at where we're at. The contrast is there to serve us, but the contrast is just an indicator, and we can't like make it go away. We just like focus on what we want. We focus on the opposite of the contrast. We focus on the opposite of the pain. What do you want? What are your dreams? And that takes work. It's like huge, tremendous, Herculean amounts of effort to refocus where your time and your energy goes and flows, right? Because everyone has brain patterns that are focusing on what they've been conditioned to focus on. People have chemical responses. Like Joe Dispenza is an awesome guy. If you guys don't know Joe Dispenza, go check him out. He's an amazing human being. Teaches you about the science of the brain and creation and manifestation and like chemicals and stuff. And what I've learned is that these chemicals that are going through your body, like let's say every time you feel something happy, you have dopamine, you have serotonin, you have these positive endorphins, like all this good stuff. But when you have a negative emotion, fear, etc., you release the stress, the cortisol, like you release these negative chemicals. So whenever you think a thought, you think about, like I can think about my phone, right? My phone, there's no charge of this either way. It could be positive, it could be negative. It's all my determination. But if I say my phone is like a prison cell, it's like weighting me down. People are always messaging me. I can't handle it. It's so stressful, right? Then I have negative chemicals that are released in my body because of this thing. Right. But if I say, man, my phone is a portal to transforming people's lives. Like this is my business. This is a center of wealth creation and massive abundance. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Every time I think about a phone, guess what's going to be released? The positive chemicals, hormones that continue to perpetuate how I see the phone. So it's like, I think a lot of people just aren't present to what's going on in their life and the contrast, and not trying to fight the contrast, but just saying, okay, so that's what I don't want. What do I want? How do I want to share my message? How do I want to share my story? How do I want to make an impact in the world? Do I want to keep complaining about politics? Do I want to keep complaining about how things are that I don't want in the world? Or do I want to channel my love, my gifts, my focus, my attention into building something, into building a positive impact in the world? So I just really love empowering people to be aware of that and choose the contrast as a teaching tool, as a guidance system, not judge it, not try to fight it, but say, hey, oh, that's interesting. Where do I want to go? Where do I want to direct my ship, my rudder?
I love that, Chris. And I wanted to ask you, do you think that it takes a specific kind of person or mindset to be in that place? Because so many people have said to me in the past, well, I just wasn't raised that way, Jessica, or I just, that's just not how I think, or I don't work that way, or they're kind of in that space of feeling stuck with their lifestyle as it is. Do you think that someone has to just get to that point? Do you think that someone might always be that way and just is trying to get back to that point? What's your feelings about that?
Yeah, so the first thought that comes to my head is who are people surrounding themselves with? Because whoever you're surrounding yourself with is the type of thinking that you are going to perpetuate. And for me personally, I'm sure for you, Jessica, I'm sure for you, Tarah, as well, you've recognized that when we surround ourselves with people who think at a higher level, we expand. We start to remember that anything is freaking possible, anything we set our minds to. So those people who are in that, I would say, more asleep state, the state of not truly being the creator, not truly recognizing their power. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just where they're at in their soul's journey. It's perfect. It's actually perfect that they're there, because that's contrast, right? It's reminders for us to remember, hey, that's right. I am the freaking creator of my reality. This person may not be. I'm going to do as much as I can for them. I'm going to recommend they listen to podcasts and do these things. And if they do it, great. If they keep showing up for themselves and they're accountable and they have integrity and they follow through, I pour into those people. Right. But if they keep coming to me with the same story, like, oh, I didn't do it. Oh, it didn't work for me. Oh, Oh, you are dropped like a fucking rock. Like, I love you. I love you so much. My heart is so big for you. And I do not have time and energy to allow that into my space and pull and like suck away my energy, my power, my ability to impact other people who are ready. There's people who are awake and who are ready, who are seeking this knowledge. So I just get to put and pour my time into those people so I can empower them, so I can equip them to make the ascension process, the awakening process, this planet just living and vibrating in love and light and all the beautiful things. I get to pour into those people who are ready so they can spread the message too. And that's why I love working with people who want to get their message out in the world, like both of you. You know, I love that you have created this platform that is impacting so many people. Right. And this is like really just the beginning for both of us. Like, think about these people who have millions and millions of followers and things like that. I'm like, you freaking go. They've put in the time and the energy. And like, that's what I'm creating. That's what we're creating, this huge impact in the world. That's something I'm really lit up by. And so I love helping people launch their podcasts, because I know that's a medium that is totally thriving right now. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's just going to keep growing. And it's the perfect time to get started, because people out there are looking, and people out there are hungry for tribes, for communities of people who get them. And you listening right now or watching right now, oh my goodness gracious, you have some secret special sauce that someone, and probably a lot of people, need to get, need to hear, need to taste, need to remember who they are and what's important to them, and make them feel included, make them feel like they belong somewhere, versus like an outcast, like nobody understands them. And at the far end of that spectrum, like, people are suffering and they're taking their own lives because they don't feel like anyone gets them. They don't feel like they're able to share what's going on with them. That fucking breaks my heart. Breaks my heart that people feel so disconnected, so isolated, so just pent up with emotions and energy, and they can't share it with anyone, and everyone around them is toxic, and, you know, whatever else is going on. Or maybe they have welcoming people around them, but just for someone to be that hopeless, I know what it's like to be in that kind of realm and that kind of energy. And it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable for me. I have zero tolerance for that in my life. And I like take a stand for people to recognize that they're creating their reality. They're the champion, and that they have the power within them. They just get to remember that. So I love helping people launch their podcasts, get their message out to the world, because the world needs more people like us who are raising the vibe.
I'm waiting for Jessica to be like, amen. I'm like, can I get an amen, Jessica? Bring in the Alabama accent. Where is it?
Amen.
Amen. I love it.
I haven't quite gotten that yet. Even being here almost 10 years, it's not the New England comes out more than the
You know, I can go to like the Dominicans, but after a day, I can totally speak with the accent. Like, I don't know. I just adapt. Right? I'm just kidding.
Can you do accents, Chris?
I can. I practice. So I like mix the Australian with the English a lot, the British accent. It's kind of hard for me to distinguish. I don't know which one's really which, but I give my best effort, you know.
That's pretty good. You know, I can start with one, but it tends to blend into just a multitude of like, I don't know what.
Yeah.
Jessica,
I tried one the other day, and Heather, that's on the breakthrough with us, was like, no. So I'm just not gonna do that again.
It's like, just stop. Just stop.
This is going nowhere. We'll just stick to our memes. We'll do that.
Yeah. And then our kids are still going, no, mom. Nope.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, Chris, you've got some cool stuff upcoming this year. I know you've got a retreat in the works, the launch of your podcast coming up, but for anybody who wants some high vibe and to like, oh man, roll with Chris.
Yes. Let's
you
go.
You want to listen to this?
Yeah, just let's go.
That rhyme, Dave.
That's what I gotta say is like my hand is here. Jessica's hand is here. Tarah's hand is here. Stay connected with all of us. If you guys don't have us on See First on Facebook and like subscribe to my podcast and our shows, like freaking do it. Okay. Like that's the fastest way that you can really make sure that you are inundated. You are just surrounded. You are overwhelmed in a positive way with so much great content and empowering and inspiring content. So that's first is like stay connected. If you have any questions about this interview, anything you want to ask me about or dive into more, send me a message. I'll do my best to respond as quickly as possible and get back to you and support however I can. And like I said, I got a lot going on. I'm a busy guy, and sometimes I'm not able to give that level of help that you're looking for. If you're not ready to take the steps, if you're not ready to invest in yourself, that's great. Like I totally love you still, but I just want to let you know that I have a limited capacity in being able to serve you in that way. That being said, if you are ready to invest in yourself, like for the people out there, you're ready to invest in yourself, you're ready to take the next steps, you're ready to, get your message out in a bigger way. I have a lot of really cool things that we're doing. Number one is the 12-hour marathon. I love helping people get their message out on the 12-hour marathon as a guest. So let's have a conversation about that if you're ready for that. Number two, launching your own podcast. We have a podcast launch mastermind, zero like fuzzy idea to launching your podcast in 90 days or less. Okay. So 90 days, we'll launch your podcast, get that going, give you a marketing plan, know what the show is about, what's the purpose, who are you communicating with, who's it for, brainstorm ideas on how to make money with your podcast, and really just give you the structure and the strategies to succeed with that. We have a retreat in Bali in November. Me and my girlfriend are going to put it on, and it's going to be freaking epic. And it's mainly for influencers and people who are like kicking butt in their business, and they're looking to dive into their soul. They're looking to dive into their impact. They're asking, is this it? Is this day-to-day serving people? Like, is this really it? Am I really leaving it all out on the court, so to speak? If I was to die today, would I really be fulfilled? Would I be proud of the impact that I made in the world? Or do I know that there's more? So if you are asking those kinds of questions and you're like, hey, I want to take my results and my impact to the next level, Bali is going to be an amazing retreat for that. It's on November 11th, 11/11. So it's going to be totally about alignment, freaking impact, empowering you to step into your greatness, and especially make 2020 your best year ever. Because my goodness gracious, why would you choose anything less than your best? You deserve it. And if there's anything else I can do to support you, I am here for you.
Boom shakalaka, as he says.
Boom! And
Boom shakalaka.
Follow me on Instagram at I am millionaire Chris, facebook.com/th3burns. Send me an email, chris@beyourgps.com. Search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store. There's so many ways to get a hold of me. Just boom shakalaka. That's it. That's all there is to know.
Shakalaka. That is all you need to know. I'm teasing.
I love it.
And of course, we will add the links below for all of that, and Russ's as well. And thank you, Russ, so much for coming on and jamming for us. I always love your soulful singing and your music. It's awesome. I don't know, Jess, do we have to end our show already?
Eventually, we all have to get back to, getting to create this world that we're trying to see. We got to get back to work. There's a lot to do and a lot of people to help out there. And I'm going to go get Russ's album and jam out and think about how much I want to go play his guitar.
You can come up here, we can go on Western tour.
Listen, everyone is trying to get me up there. I will be up there sooner than later.
I don't think we did a chair dance with Chris yet.
We did it.
Oh.
Chair dance.
Oh, you're doing the Marvin Gaye chair dance. I can see the song now.
Russ, we need you. This could have been American Woman right here.
We were supposed to all sing the American Woman. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This has been absolutely amazing show to kick off the end of the season. Chris, if there's anything else you want to leave us with, one last thing.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
I love it. Always have one more thing to say. Live from your heart. Live from your heart. Live from alignment. Live from choice. Live from your highest self every single day. Your GPS. Tap into it. Every day you have an opportunity to start all over in a positive and empowering way, saying anything is possible today. What's outside of my comfort zone? What do I want? What's important to me? What do I desire? What does my soul crave in this moment? And also, learn to be quiet. Learn to listen. Learn to receive all that the universe wants to deliver and give to you. You've got this. You're more than enough. You're so blessed. You're divinely guided and highly favored. You are more than enough. I love you. We love you. Keep shining.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh yeah. In Canada, we're like, hey, oh yeah. Something like that. I don't know. I'm like, where did Russ go? Sure, that's in. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Jess, for joining me. Thank you, Chris, again. Thank you, Russ. Renee, we missed you, and we will see you in the fall. So like us, heart us, tell your friends. Jess, do you have anything to end off with?
And don't forget to check out the Breakthrough season premiere Friday, August 2nd.
Oh,
I know
put it in
some
your
people.
calendar.
Bam,
Put it in your calendar, August 2nd.
bam, bam,
Bye-bye.
bam. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. This has been another episode of the Soul and Social, and we will see you next time.